Good evening, and welcome to the 2011 Big Ten Fantasy Football Lottery. After tonight's proceedings, we will know who has the first pick in the Big Ten Fantasy Football Draft coming up this August. So let's explain how tonight's proceedings will work. We will have a container that is filled with poker chips. Each one of these poker chips will have your name on them. We will put everyone's name in the container and shake it up. After shaking it, we will randomly draw said poker chip and show it to the camera. Whoever's name is on the poker chip is the person that will get that selection. We will start from the 10th pick and we will move down to pick number 1. So before we get started, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Hot Stuff says football. Hot Stuff says track and field. Hot Stuff says hockey. Remember, buy Hot Stuff Sports. I hope you can see it alright. If you can't, you should be able to once the screen kind of shuts off. But it is 7 o'clock on Tuesday, July 17th, 19th. And this is when we are going to be doing the Big Ten Fantasy Football Lottery, what you've all been waiting for. So let me start by showing that our container is empty. Absolutely nothing in it. And now I will start putting the poker chips in it one by one. We are going to start with Chops. Chops goes into the container. Next, Kev Rudy. That is myself. Hopefully I don't win or else that will be a little awkward. We have Higby, also known as Whiskey. We have Matt DeBear, whose last name is actually pronounced DeBear. We have our co-owners, Doug and Cindy Rudy. We have Matt Fergrassi, who will end up getting in a fight at some point in this fantasy football season. We have Mike Warshofsky. Could not fit the name Warshofsky on here, so I just wrote War and then some squiggly lines. Have Dave Rosen. Could not fit Rosen on the poker chip, so I just went with Dave Rosen. We have Laura Rudy. And last but not least, we have Ben Nebo. And that is all 10 contestants. So now, we're going to just mix up these poker chips. Mix them all up there, making it totally random. Remember, we are starting with the 10th pick, and we are moving down to the first. So the first name I will select will be the 10th pick. Okay. Empty hands, nothing up the sleeves. And the 10th pick in the 2011 Big Ten Fantasy Football Draft is Mike Warshofsky. Mike Warshofsky gets the 10th pick. Now the 9th pick in the Fantasy Football Draft goes to Matt DeBear. Matt DeBear. 8th pick in the Fantasy Football Draft goes to Higby. Higby, who will now drink himself to death with whiskey. 7th pick in the Fantasy Football Draft goes to Laura Rudy. Goes to Laura Rudy. Down to the 6th pick. The 6th pick in the Fantasy Football Draft goes to Chops. That goes to Chops. Halfway there. Now, getting down to the, what are we at? Fifth pick in the Fantasy Football Draft goes to Matt Fergrassi. Matt Fergrassi. 4 more to go. And the 4th pick in the 2011 Fantasy Football Draft goes to Doug and Cindy Rudy. It's a little taken off from the mixing up, but that is Doug and Cindy Rudy. You can see the D and the C. And now narrowing it down to the 3rd pick
The third pick in the 2011 Big Ten Fantasy Football Draft goes to Dave Rosenberger. Dave Rosenberger. Now it's between Kevin Rudy and Ben Niebel for the first overall pick. The name I will draw will get the second pick. The other one will get the first. Now the second pick in the 2011 Big Ten Fantasy Football Draft goes to Kevin Rudy. Kevin Rudy, which means our last chip. It's the last one. First overall pick in the 2011 Big Ten Fantasy Football Draft goes to Ben Niebel. Congratulations to Ben Niebel for getting the first pick in the Fantasy Football Draft. So now we will give you another word from our sponsor, and then we will come back with commentary.
Hot Stuff says popcorn. Hot Stuff says a popcorn. Hot Stuff still says a popcorn. The only food we make is popcorn.
And welcome back to the 2011 Big Ten Fantasy Football Lottery, and what a lottery it was. I was sweating it out there at the end, not gonna lie. Did not want to win my own lottery because that would have been awkward and people probably would have accused me of cheating. But I did not. Ben Niebel won, so we want to send out a big congratulations to Ben and also say that you are on the clock. So now let's break things down a little bit. Where do we think Ben's going to go with number one? You got to think Wisconsin running backs are probably where you want to go. I mean, you got Monte Ball and you got James White coming back. The two of them combined for 32 touchdowns last year, and that was while sharing the ball with Clay. I mean, when you get the two of them, you get a starter in your running back and you get a starter in your flex every single week. So let's assume Ben might be thinking going there. The next clear-cut one is probably Denard Robinson. He had 32 touchdowns by himself, rushing and receiving last year. Definitely someone you want to go with. But when we look at this order here, we could definitely see Robinson sliding a little bit. We got Kevin Rudy with that number 2 pick, which is going to be very interesting because, you know, Kevin and Michigan have a little bit of a history in the past. So will he be willing to go with a Michigan quarterback number 2? That could be the biggest question of the first round. And then after that, you have Dave Rosenberger, who probably doesn't even know who Denard Robinson is. His head is off in La La Land, so let's skip him. You got Doug and Cindy Rudy, already made a pact. They're not drafting any Michigan players. And then you got Matt Fergrassi. It's going to go, screw Michigan, throw something, chug a beer, and, you know, pass on that. So I could definitely see Denard Robinson slipping all the way to that number 6 spot for Chops, which I'm not going to lie, would be an absolute steal. An absolute steal for Aaron Real if he could get Denard Robinson that number 6 position. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And on a little somber note, I just got a call from the Warshawski camp. They are very disappointed with that 10 pick. Warshawski wants to gamble a lot of money on this, even though the buy-in's only $15. He is somehow wagering at least $500. He has told me, and with that 10 pick, he's just, you know, beside himself. But honestly, it's not terrible because, you know, you got the 10th pick and then you got the 11th pick, which is the first pick of the second round coming back. So you can use those back-to-back picks, you know, maneuver a little bit. You can set the tone of the entire draft with that. You know, everyone else might have to follow you. Really, but the biggest question in this draft is going to be Eric Higbee's pick. First of all, you know he's going to be drinking. He's going to be drinking heavily before the draft, so all bets are off. And after that, he has said he's going to draft nothing but Penn State players. So you got to think the Penn State running backs will be off the board by this point. And I could even see the Penn State wide receivers with Derek Moy, you know, big ball skills right there, go up and get something. He could be off the board as well. So now if the Penn State running back and wide receiver is off the board, does Higbee go Penn State quarterback? Does he reach in the first round without even knowing who the quarterback is and take that? I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past taking Joe Paterno either in the first round. I mean, and that could be a question of this whole draft. How early does Joe Paterno go? You know, does he go second round, third round? Does Ben take him with the number 1 pick? You know, someone's gonna reach and take him before they should. That question is just, who's it gonna be? So, you know, then you also got to worry about Matt. I could see Matt taking Joe Paterno at 5. I could see Matt and Higbee getting into a war, taking nothing but Penn State players. And that's going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be very exciting to see how this turns out. So we want you to stick around just a little bit longer. We're going to do one more quick break, and then we're going to leave you with something you will not want to miss.
Hot Stuff says beer. Hot Stuff says whiskey. Hot Stuff says Jägermeister. Remember, drink hot stuff.
And that concludes the 2011 Big Ten Fantasy Football Lottery. And let it be known to people, Donnie, this is what happens when you make me do it live. Stick around for some bloopers. Night-night, everybody.